book of Daniel. We're going to be in chapter 6. And last week, we heard Belshazzar, what happens when you sin. You know, he was having a big party. That wasn't bad enough. He wanted to take the Lord's instruments from the temple and drink out of them. That's bad. But then, here, Mike, let's drink to the God of wood. Let's drink to the God of the sun. Let's do, and God said, enough is enough. When that there, you start seeing a hand writing on the wall. I guarantee you, Michael, if I see that there, I'm not going to wait. I'm running out of the church. Maybe I should wait and see what. But they would scare. If my legs would move, I see that writing up there and there. Because it wasn't a good message. It says your days are numbered. You've been found in want. God, I think, tells people that. He's warned them and warned them. At the final, he says, enough. This it's too late. This is your final warning. You're going to die tomorrow. And you know, people hear that and they just don't listen. They don't heed. And Daniel warned them all about that and everything. And it happened. The other king took over, and Darius was his name. And the thing is, Daniel was such a good man of God. He even found favor in every king he's had. He's found favor in. He finds favor in Darius, in Nebuchadnezzar. Belshazzar was a different story. He didn't want to listen to anybody. He waited till it was too late to do something. But when you know somebody, like I said, a lot of times people don't want to listen to what you say, but when they have a problem, they'll come to you, Michael. They don't want to go to the bartender at the bar. They'll come to the preacher or another Christian or a deacon or Sunday school teacher. And because they have faith. They may make fun of you and laugh, but when they're in trouble, like the king was, his knees and everything, they're going to go to somebody they can trust. And they know if they come to you, Michael, or me, we're not going to lie to them. If we know the truth, I'm going to tell them, you're going to hell. You need to change your ways. God's warning you. And that's what, did he heed? No, it didn't sound like he stopped drinking or doing anything, did it? You gave him that stuff and just kind of said, did it say he repented with bitter? No. It's like he didn't believe it, but he found out what was happening. So this new King Darius is there now, and I'm going to start in chapter 6, and it says, it pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give account unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and the princes, because of his excellent spirit was in him. And the king sought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and the princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom. But they could find none occasion, nor fault, for as much he was faithful, neither was any error or fault found in him. And then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against his concerning the law of God. And I'll stop there right now. And this king set them all over there, and he made Daniel in there. Well, the people that were under Daniel were jealous. It's pretty good of Daniel. You can't find nothing wrong with. I'd love for people to say, I can't find nothing wrong with Jimmy, except he's a Christian. Praise God. If they can say that about you, Mike, if that's the only thing they can find against you, Tom, that's great. They can say what you do. If they said, well, if he goes to the bar, that's against me. Or if they said he beats his wife, but they said, we can't find anything against him unless it's to do with his worshiping God. That's what when people look at our lives, we need to make an example. I need to make an example to James and your kids and everybody, grandkids, that they can't find anything wrong with you except that you go to church. Well, he goes to church a lot. If that's the only thing they can find, praise God. But that's not so all the time. I'm human and so are you, and we have faults. We need to correct our lives, and if we got anything that's between God and us, we need to get that straight. And Daniel had done that. Daniel Daniel had been there, and he was with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He's out when they were thrown into the furnace. He was out of time, but he's been faithful. He's 80 years old. 80 years old. I think of your dad, Preston, when he was old and everything. He was coming in here and faithful, and he was excited about that. I hope to God, if I'm still alive, I can still be excited about the Lord. I may not remember everything, and I may forget stuff. We say that about probably our new president, Joe Biden. But I forget stuff. I forget names. Why do I think I call everybody buddy? Yeah. Because I can't remember their name, and I couldn't say it if I did. But like I said, the main name when I'm dying, my last words want to be Jesus. Yeah. And when they're standing up here, when I'm in the casket, I want them to say, he loved God and he loved his family. I don't want them to say he was a good worker at Walmart. He helped them. I want them to say he loved God, he loved his family, he loved his church. That's what counts. When you die, you preached your own funeral your whole life. Yeah. And you want people to remember, and these people, we can't find nothing wrong with Daniel. Yeah. Can they say that about you? If they were looking for a fault, I'm afraid if they looked at me, people could find faults in my life besides that. I need to correct these things. And God has showed, we need to self-examine. You don't need to examine me, Preston. I don't need to examine you or examine I need to examine myself. And the thing is, no matter how good you are, you need to do better. I think I've seen a thing on Billy Graham was in there saying all 1 million people he preached there, all the stuff he'd done. But even Billy Graham, as good as he was, you know what he said? The one thing I didn't do, I wish I'd have spent more time with my family. Yes, he preached and has many people. The thing is, but sometimes you have to make sure your family and your own Christianity, your own salvation is made sure. It doesn't do Michael any good if he preaches around here and sees a lot of people get saved. And then the day Jesus, he said, well, Michael, you never got saved yourself. You preached and told everybody else how to do it, and you knew the Bible from top to bottom. You knew how to tell people to get saved, but you never did it. But Michael could say, oh, yes, Lord, I did. Satan's the accuser, and he goes, no. He says, no, remember that day? Remember in Ashley? And then God said, yeah, I remember that. That's what we need to remember that day. We need to remember when we got saved. And Michael reminds us all the time, telling us about when he get in there. We need to remember that. When Satan comes against you and tells you all your problems and everything, and he said, no, Satan, you back down, I'm saved. And we don't all feel saved all the time, Preston. Right. I mean, Michael said there's times he don't feel like preaching. He's had sad things in his life, and he says, I just really don't want to get up there. He says, I don't feel like it, but he's got to be, sometimes you have to do stuff you don't want to do. The Lord's saying, I will give you grace and strength. I know you don't feel like it. I know right now you're down and you're depressed, and we've all had that. I remember years ago when we had when Kurt Johnson was here, he was saying he was resigning and going to leave. I know they asked Brad Duncan, he says, I can't. He goes, I can't. I'm too upset. I can't preach. He was going to preach, and he was honest. And the thing is, sometimes, but you have to try to get over it if you barely can. You have to keep going. The devil will say, give up. Yeah. I'm sure he told you, give up, Michael. You've done everything. You're living a good life. Just give up. You're doing too much. Like they told Brad, he was too excited for the Lord. Is there such a thing as too excited for the Lord? But these people have looked, and they can't find anything. And like I said, we need to look at our own lives, and can God find some? Can anybody find anything in us? But you don't need to ask other. You need to just by yourself say, Lord, is there anything that displeases you? Is there anything I can do better? I can do more. And God's not a harsh God. He's going to say, well, you've done well, but I'd like you to do a little better than this. He's a loving father. When you talk to your dad most time, I had a loving dad, And unless he was very patient to a point. But like he said, you need to do this. You need to. And the thing is, we need to listen to our loving Father. And these people here they were evil. You see that at your workplace? People always want the boss's job. The boss is never right. I've heard that. The boss is never right. Everybody's always got an opinion. Verse 5, then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Right there. Right there. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king and said unto him, King Darius, live forever. When you say something like that, it seems like you're being set up. For all the princes of the kingdom and the governors and the princes and the counselors and the captains. That's a lie. It wasn't all of them. It was a few of them. They didn't ask Daniel, and he was one of them. It wasn't all of them. They've consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save O thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish this decree. They're not giving him a chance to think. They're rushing him into it and say, go, do this, do this. They're trying to hurry him. And later on he says, I wish I'd have just took my time. He goes, and sign there, and it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which alter not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and decree. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, see, he knew it. Daniel knew what he was going. He didn't go up there and pray and not know the consequences. He knew exactly what he was getting into. He couldn't have said, well, I didn't know. I wasn't aware of it. No, he knew what was going on. He knew what was. He did. He knew what was going on. And his window being open to his chamber towards Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he did 4 times. Now, if he knew that, why couldn't he say, well, I'm going to go hide when I pray? Well, for 30 days, Michael, I'm not going to pray. It's not going to hurt anything. You're compromising with the world. 30 days isn't going to hurt anything. Is it going to hurt anything if I don't pray for 30 days? Nobody's going to know. And they're not going to find. But he knew in his heart, I have to talk to God. I can't change my ways to try to suit into them. A lot of times we try to compromise with the world. I'm tired of compromising. I'm tired of saying, well, the church needs to do this. The church needs to accept. The church is the church. Sin is sin. We can't keep changing it to get people in here. Well, we've changed it so we accept it, and you don't have. No, Daniel knew what he was supposed to do, and he didn't. And he went right to the windows. They knew where he prayed at every day, 3 times a day. 3 times a day, and he went up there and he was faithful. And I'm pretty sure he thanked God, but I'm pretty sure he remembered this degree and goes, Lord, you know this degree, but I'm still talking to you. You're still my God. And, I know you'll take care of me. I seen you take care of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fire. You're still king. You're still God. And these people aren't going to take that from me.
A lot of stuff can change in 30 days.
Yeah, well.
Look at history with where everyone thinks everything, like the stock market crash.
Oh, it's.
You're telling me people weren't, they called it the roaring 20s because everybody thought everything would stay that way forever. 30 days later, a lot of things can happen. 9/11,
Yeah.
30 days before that.
What happens, Tom, if they say for 30 days, and Lisa gets deathly ill? You're not supposed to pray, and she needs your prayer, and you know that. Are you going to say, Lisa, hang on for 30 days, and I'll pray for you? That ain't when I have a problem, do I say, I'm going to wait? No. Most of the time, when I have a problem, I don't always bow right there, but I'll say, Lord, you need to help me. You've been here and you've been right beside me. You're not left me. I need help right now. I can't wait till I get home tonight to pray by my bed. I'm asking you right now.
It could be dangerous to wait 30 minutes. Well,
Yeah.
I'll wait till I get home.
Yeah, I'll wait till. Well, the thing is, what if you're on the freeway, Tom, and all the traffic and everything? You see all these things. Lord, protect me. How many times have you drove in a snowstorm where you couldn't see nothing? And you just were just blindly led, and they said, Lord, help. Are you going to wait till you get home, Michael, to pray? No, I'm right there and said, Lord, I can't even see.
Well, you think about what they wanted. You know, they didn't want anyone to ask a petition of God or man for 30 days. You know, not just the time period, but they're saying, you know, whatever you need, people should be coming to the King. And you know, I see that today. We are trying to. We've got a. You know, people are trying to say whatever you need to go to the government. You need to go to the. It's the same thing today. You know, whether it's for permission or for supply or for needs or anything, they want us to. That's what some are trying to build is that same thing. And I think that's where we can kind of. We don't have a king today, but we see where some of the same stuff is happening. Maybe they don't put a law exactly like this, but they're trying to get in that direction.
Well, you can't.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So when we say, yeah, that's great that Daniel, he stood up and he did all these things, but Daniel didn't try to get it overturned. He just went doing what he normally did, and I think that's sometimes what we miss. God's looking for, okay, the rulers have done this. Now what are you gonna do?
Yeah, you keep doing what you know.
Yeah, because I'll deal with the ruler later. Because it's a pride thing for him too, saying I'll take care of everything. You don't need to go to God. You come to me. It's a pride thing, and it's the same thing with our government. As if our government could fix problems of even all the governments of the world. You put them together as if they could fix things that are wrong. They can't, or they would have already.
Well, they can't get into your individual life, Michael. They don't know how you're feeling. You don't. Can our presidents fix your spirit if you've got a problem there? If you got sin, can our presidents forgive you? Can the Pope forgive you? Right. In there, if you've got to go. I want to go. I don't want. If I got a big enough problem, I don't want to go to my. I want to go to the very top. Amen. I want to go to Jesus. I want to say, listen. I don't want other people telling you what I want because it'll get confused. I don't want the Pope telling people, Jimmy wants it. No, I'm coming to you, and this is what I want. Yeah. You've heard. You know what the other story. You know my heart. You know exactly what I want, and that's why we can't wait 30 days. If they tell us, don't pray today, Michael. 1 day is too much without prayer. Well, 30 days is but 1 day, every day. There's not a day any of us in here go, I don't think, that we don't pray. Yeah. Could you imagine not praying all day, Michael? Oh, that'd be the only thing I'd be thinking of. That'd be in there. Gotta pray, gotta pray, gotta pray, gotta pray. That's what we in there. And God says, I'm waiting to hear from you. Yeah. When my mom was alive, I called her most of the time on a set, and she'd wait. It's because I've been waiting for your call, Jimmy. And if I never would forget in there, but I would feel bad because she's waiting. God's waiting to hear from us. He's waiting to hear from your every problem you got. And this is a big problem. Yeah. We've got, but that's no bigger than some of the problems in our life, Michael. And does God say, well, yours is a little bitty one. No. He's no respecter of man. Everything's important. He worries about everything in our life.
Believe in false idols but they put their trust in, like, Persia, Iran, and Iraq. They put their trust in a person, not necessarily a king, but a ruler, and they place him above God, where, hey, we can do whatever we please to Israel and whatever else.
I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit farther. And verse 11 says, Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Has that? They knew he did. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man should ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save, O the king, shall be cast into the den of lions? And the king answered, Yeah, this is true, according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which altereth not. That's what it says. The law can't be changed. Then answered and they said before the king, that Daniel, which is the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not. See how they're talking about him? They're not saying this leader, they're saying, one of the captives that you got, O king, has signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. Then when the king heard these words, he was sorely displeased with himself. He's mad at himself. He's not mad at Daniel. He's mad at himself and set in his heart on Daniel to deliver him. See, right away, he's going to say, I got to help Daniel. I've made this mess. But too many times, if you made a mess, Michael, you can't fix it. God's got it in there. Like he said, they rushed him into making this decree. They rushed him into signing this. He knew it was wrong. As soon as he heard them say something about Daniel, he knew that he'd messed up. He did. He knew he'd messed up. And he labored till the going down of the sun delivers him. Then these men assembled to the king and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed. I mean, these talebearers and everything, they just keep coming on and coming on. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God, who thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den. And the king sealed with his own signet, and with the signet of the Lord, so that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night, fasting. Neither was any instruments of music before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose early in the morning and went to haste to the den of lions. When he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. The king spake and said, Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God whom thou servest continual able to deliver thee from lions? Then the king was waiting. I think he was kind of half not expecting. He wasn't expecting to hear that. He was faithful in everything, but he was praying that Daniel was going to be saved, but I don't think he experienced. How many times have we prayed for stuff, but we didn't think it was going to happen? I've been guilty of that. I prayed that the Lord would heal somebody and do different stuff, but I didn't really believe that in there. And that's what he said, Daniel, are you still alive? And listen to this pride. Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God has set an angel and has shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me, for as much as innocency was found in me, and also before king I have done no hurt. Then the king was exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, no hurt was found upon him, because he believed in God. I want to stop there right now. And the king had a rough night. I mean, he fasted and everything. I don't know if he was believing, but he knew he'd been wrong. He, in his own heart, he knew that it was his fault. And he was mad at these men. He goes, these men set me up. They rushed me into that, and the thing is, when people ask you to do something, sometimes you need to step back and think before you say, yeah, sure. I've done that. People want me to do stuff and everything. And the king realized after he did that, they said, well, this Daniel does this 3 times a day. And he knew Daniel did it. Everybody, Daniel didn't hide that from anybody. He told everybody, they seen him, and they heard him praying. He didn't hide.
Well, and the king, well, yeah, verse 10, when he goes to pray, it says, as he did aforetime. Even after he heard the decree, he changed nothing about what he did. He did exactly the same, and I think that's the lesson God's been trying to teach us lately too, is no matter what happens, we still do what we've done before.
We still need to come. We still need to come here to the house of the Lord. We still need to.
And then you get to 16, where the king puts him in there. He says, "Thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee."
Yeah.
Notice that Daniel's testimony is coming from others.
Yeah.
His enemies
He's
said,
a big influence. He's
Yeah.
such a big influence.
the enemies said, we can't find anything against him except the laws of his God. And then the king says, he's a servant of God. He serves God. And then, just all of these things, Daniel doesn't even have
To say anything.
I follow the Lord, I pray, I do this. It's his life. They see it.
Well, he's such an awesome symbol in there. And the thing, he doesn't change anything. When we have problems, Michael, do we change? Yeah. When they tell you, Preston, they're going to fire you if you do this, you change things. If it's in there, we don't know. But he did the same thing that he did every day. He went in there and he knelt down and prayed. That's what he needed. He said, well, they don't have, I'll pray silently. No, that's not what he was used to. I have people say, well, why do you guys go up to the front of the church and some of you pray out loud? That's what everybody doesn't have it. But if the Lord tells you to do that, that's what you're supposed to do. I remember when I wasn't from a church that did that, but like he said, once you get in there and if the Spirit moves, I don't want people to come in here and to be a show. It's like they talked about the Sadducees and the Pharisees. Oh, they would pray. Oh, thank God I'm not like Preston and Tom that do that and all these things. No, he said, forgive me, Lord, I'm wretched and everything. That needed to be prayer. But like they said, God worked in a mighty way. And the king was in there, and he deserved to have a restless night. But I guarantee the people turned him in that they didn't think anything more about it. When the king said, he's going to deliver you,
Our problems are solved.
like he said, we don't have this thing. If my Preston, if you're doing that, if you're one of the leaders doing that, Mel's telling you. You put me and the kids in trouble too, Preston. You're not just saying this for you. Did you read the whole thing? If he's alive, they're throwing us in there with Preston. And I think of Aiken. He not only said, sometimes my sin is only hurting me. You ever heard anybody? I don't hurt anybody else when I drink. You hurt a lot of people. And that's what these men. These men thought, well, if we do this, we're not hurting anybody but ourselves. But who did they throw back into that lion's den? Who did they throw back in there? They threw their kids and their wife. And that said, man, that sounds good. But God, it's the very God, and that was wrote there. God didn't tell that they did that. That was their law. And it says, before they hit the ground, their bones are broke. I don't understand that. Don't ask me to try to figure that out. I don't, but if that's what it says, that's what it means. I can imagine.
Well, they snatched him out of the air before they hit the ground.
That's it. Could you imagine them other guys? I'm sure they weren't there as early as Darius was and everything. But did you hear Daniel made it up? Say it ain't so.
Right.
Yeah, say it ain't so. Right away they knew that they doomed themselves. Say it ain't so. The thing is, if one of them should have said, I disagree with this. Maybe, but they said, all of them said that. No, they didn't all. They didn't go to Daniel. They didn't go to some of the other ones. They wouldn't agree. But everybody says, everybody's doing it, Preston.
Right.
I used that excuse when I was in school. Everybody's going, everybody's doing it. You're not everybody. That's what my parents, he goes, you're my son. I don't care if they do this and they do that, you're my son and you're not going to do it. And that's what God says. You're my child and you're not going to bow that in there. And Daniel said, oh king, and he said, king, he didn't hurt me and I had done no
this story, and you know, with the enemies, the wives, the children all being thrown in, and say how gruesome and how everything else the Bible is. Now, one of the things you think about is the spiritual picture. You know, when a father and a husband decides that he's going to fight against God and be an atheist and drive himself against the truth and everything else, it will take down the whole family.
Well,
Most times it will drive them all into atheism and into hell, basically. So, you know, you think about how, you know, I can't believe, you know, this ending would be this, you know, this would be the ending of the story. But there's so many families out here that where people that are ignoring and rejecting the gospel and rejecting Jesus Christ, and they're sending their whole family.
Well,
Now, each person has their own choice, but it is so much harder to come to Christ when your parents are.
When they haven't took you to church or done it. I think of Madeline Murray O'Hara. She got church out of school. The boy that she did not want to have to pray became a preacher against all odds. But what happened to his mom? What happened to his brother and all them? They were found dead, chopped up, and everything. They got, you know, but he didn't hold that up against them. He prayed for them. The thing is, people, and I'm pretty sure that Daniel, when he was in there, he prayed for the king. He said, Lord, they put this king in a bad situation. I don't hold him completely to blame for this and everything. But he liked Darius. And Darius liked him. He had a lot of confidence in it. It's not like, you know, he said somebody you don't know, he knew you. You know, everybody knows this story, but you pick up something every time. People say, well, I've heard this story. People say, well, I've heard John 3. Every time I hear John 3:16, I can get something. And I thank God for that. We come in here, Michael's going to preach the same one. The thing is, he can preach the same passage and we can get something different out of it every time, which way the Lord leads us.